All right. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Allison Wall. I'm the Assistant Director for our Career Services and Recruitment Department. Thank you very much for joining us virtually for this information session. I'm sure many of you were hoping to come to the nursing school to be able to see campus and the school itself. Unfortunately, that wasn't able to occur this time around, but this is the exact same information, the exact same PowerPoint I would have given had you been here on campus. So we are here today to talk about our Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. It is not the only degree we have here at the nursing school. We have our Master of Science in Nursing. We have an alternate entry MSN program, which is specifically designed for students who have an undergraduate degree in something other than nursing. We have a PhD, an alternate entry PhD program, as well as a Doctor of Nursing Practice. So there's a whole bunch of different students studying a whole bunch of different things under one roof, which is pretty exciting. But today we are going to talk about our Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. It is a direct entry program, which means once you are in, you are in. You are a professional nursing student day one. As you start to look at other colleges and universities and at their nursing programs, you may see that some have, it's called pre-nursing, and that means you go for 2 years, I believe, and then you have to basically reapply to get into the upper division coursework, and that is not the case at UT Austin. We are direct entry. You're a professional nursing student. You will never have to reapply to get into upper division coursework. You are a nursing student day one. It is a 4-year program. There's no early graduation. So many students come in and they have a lot of credits that they're bringing in with them. That will not get you out of here any quicker. So what would happen in that if that's you, is your advisor would meet with you, and once you were here, they would map out your 4 years. They would see what courses you've already taken, and then if there's space, maybe you take courses that are just of interest to you. Maybe you want to get a certificate. Perhaps you are thinking about having a minor. So there are different ways you can go with that, and that is something your advisor would sit down and completely map out with you and walk you through your options. And then once you do graduate, you have a generalist degree, which means you do not specialize on any one unit, any one field. You are going to get exposed to many different tracks and many different types of nursing throughout your time here at the nursing school. But when you graduate, you have a overarching Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. So as a freshman, this is basically what your first year would look like. Many of these are what you would call your core requirements for the university. And you are also on main campus for about your first year and a half of school, which is exactly where you want to be. You're brand new, it's exciting, you want to be in the hubbub, you want to be in central campus. At some point when you're able to come and visit campus and see where the school is located, we're kind of on the outskirt of campus, which is really nice by the time you get here. But when you are brand new and just starting out, it's excellent to be on campus. You're with a lot of different students majoring in a lot of different things. And then eventually you work your way up to where you're basically full-time at the nursing school. So talking about that exposure, these are all the different types of nursing that you're going to be rotating through both your junior and senior year. We have our adult health, our mental health, we have our labor and delivery, maternity, public health, leadership and management, genetics, research. You're going to get a little bit of everything. So you may come into the nursing school thinking you know exactly what it is you want to do. And maybe that'll be confirmed. You may walk out of here still knowing exactly what you want to do. Other times you come in thinking one thing and you're exposed to maybe another area of nursing that you didn't know perhaps was available to you. And you decide that's the course you want to take. So it's your time to really get out there, see what kinds of nursing there is, what what you can do with this degree, and so then hopefully by the time you hit your senior year, you've kind of gotten it narrowed down and you can start applying to jobs in that unit. So this slide is basically when you read through the bullet points, what's required of a nursing student, everybody has these skills to a certain degree. But when you think about it in the healthcare terms, or what they call the nurse brain, it can look a little different. So for example, communication skills. You may be able to talk to anybody and everybody under the sun. But when it comes to your nursing career, communication can look very, very different. You may have a patient who is a baby, and they're crying and screaming, and that's their way of communicating, and you have to be able to figure out what it is they're trying to communicate to you. You may have a patient who's nonverbal. You may have a patient who doesn't speak the same language as you. And another big part of nursing is communicating and interacting with families and friends in what can be a very stressful and very scary moment in their lives. And so being able to interact with those family members and loved ones, and really being able to explain to them what's going on, you know, kind of being a pillar of strength for them as they're going through this hard time with their loved one. That's another way of thinking of communication. It's not just with the patients. So by the time you get through nursing school, you will basically be able to critically think and problem solve and communicate in a million different ways. You'll hear the term nurse brain a lot, and that is exactly what our faculty members are helping you form throughout your time here. So when you enter as a freshman, the very first thing that you are going to do is get your fingerprints done. And this is for a background check. A lot of this comes into play once you start going into your clinical coursework, which is your junior year of the nursing school. So when you are entering clinicals, there are a whole bunch of different requirements that you need to be compliant with to be able to go into these hospitals and these clinics, because these hospitals and clinics are basically allowing you to come in as a guest and work on their patients. And so there are a number of requirements that they enforce through the Board of Nursing, which is like our governing body here. Every state has their own Board of Nursing, and we have to comply with that. And so we are the ones who make sure that you are compliant, that you have everything done you need to have done, that you are safe, and you are safe to be around patients and safe to be in their hospitals. So while you come in as a freshman and you get your fingerprints done, hopefully everything comes back clear. You get a little blue card in the mail, you hold on to that blue card, and you don't really need to do any more of your compliance items until right before your junior year starts. And at that point, you will be taking a drug test. There's going to be many different immunizations that you need to have either already had, and you'll probably talk to parents and find those records that you're going to need to upload, or perhaps you're going to have to go and actually get those immunizations or vaccinations at that point. There is CPR and first aid you're going to have to complete. There are many different modules you're going to have to walk through online, and certificates that you'll get at the end of passing those modules. And this is everything you're going to have to keep up on during your junior and senior year. There's never a point where you can fall out of compliance, because if you do, you can't be in the hospitals or the clinics, and that can definitely set you back and set you on a different course. It leads me to the very last point, the clean academic integrity record. In addition to having all your compliance items done, the whole time you're at the School of Nursing, not just those last 2 years, you really need to make sure that you basically put your blinders on. So you're at college, it's very fun, you have lots of friends, there's lots of things to do, but repercussions when you're in the nursing school can look very different than when you are at maybe another college or school on campus. And what I mean by that is, if something happens and either you're not compliant, or maybe you've been caught cheating or plagiarizing or something of that nature, you aren't allowed to be out in the hospital or the clinical rotation because you're not compliant. And that automatically puts you back almost a semester, because you're not moving forward with your cohort and getting these skills and these hours that you need. So it can snowball very, very quickly. Graduation can get pushed back a semester. There may not be room for you once you're back to compliant, to go right back into the hospital. Maybe you've missed too much. Maybe there's not space. Spacing is a big issue we have in the nursing school, and I'll touch on that more later. So all of this just to say it's a very high standard at the nursing school, but it's because it has to be because of the nature of the major that you've chosen. You need to be safe, and you need to have everything up to date to be able to work with patients in the hospital setting. So when you are a sophomore in your second semester, you are going to be up here in the nursing school, and you're going to be doing our simulation lab, you're going to be doing the skills lab, and it's just going to be a lot of sim and skills lab. Your sophomore 2, we call it Soph 2, your second semester of sophomore year semester. And this is upstairs on our 4th floor in the nursing building, and we have many, many different high-functioning mannequins and dummies up there who can be programmed with different lung sounds and heart sounds, and their pulse can be programmed to be a certain way. And we have a mannequin who gives birth to a baby mannequin, and out comes the baby, and there's the umbilical cord, and the baby is turning blue and crying, and you're having to help the baby and the mom. And it's different scenarios that you will be facing in the hospitals as you rotate through, but it's upstairs in the safety of our lab on these mannequins. And so it's where you will start learning how to insert an IV, to start a Foley catheter, even moving a hospital bed around. How do you maintain that sterile field, and how do you move a huge hospital bed around corners, and how do you make the bed, and how do you manage the equipment when it's hooked up to the patient, and it's many different scenarios. You start that your sophomore 2 semester, and then every time before you go on a new rotation in the hospital, your junior year and senior year, you will be up there in the Sim and Skills Lab, not only practicing what you've already done in semesters past, but also practicing for what you are about to go out and do in the hospitals. So these are some of the sites our students rotate through. St. David's and Seton are the 2 main hospital systems that our students do their clinical rotations. They go to Dill Children's for their mental health rotation. They do go to Austin State Hospital. Sometimes it's Meridell, other times it's Rock Springs. There's the Children's Wellness Center in Del Valley. And there's also area school clinics. So you will be going to schools and be learning school nursing. So you're not just in a hospital or a clinic. You might be in a long-term care facility. You may be in an acute care facility. You're going to be in schools. You're going to be in more rural areas. There's going to be lots of different types of nursing. And again, it's just to expose you to the many, many different kinds of nursing that you can go into. And then in your final semester, so it's your senior year, you've got a month before you graduate, you go out on something called capstone. And capstone is basically you and a nurse preceptor. It's one-on-one, and you are working your nurse's shift with him or her. So you are paired with them. You are asked at the beginning of that semester, give us your top 3 location preferences and your top 3 unit preferences. And our capstone coordinator does her very, very best to get you one of your top 3 choices. Obviously, the very top is ideal. But this is a time where a lot of our students may want to go home at this point. So they may, say Houston is my first preference, or Dallas is my first preference. And then you'll also list your units. And then you can also say which one is more important to you. Is it the location or is it the unit, if you had to choose? So, and then you're paired with that nurse, and you don't even come to the nursing school that final month. You are working their schedule. So if they are 3 p.m. to 3 a.m., you are working 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. And again, that's 120 hours. So this is an excellent time to get some experience, to really kind of establish yourself in that hospital. A lot of times, some really great job opportunities can come from your capstone experience. You are there, you're integrated in the hospital, they know your work ethic, they know your professionalism. You're already oriented, which is nice for them. It's mutually beneficial. So it's definitely a positive, and something that our students really, really look forward to that final semester. So we do have some outreach opportunities. We work with, I mentioned Children's Wellness Center before out in Del Valley, and we also work with the Family Wellness Center, which is right over here on the other side of the highway. We do Hospital Simulation Day, where faculty and staff and other students come in and they pretend to be a patient, and there's a script, and we follow that script, and our nursing students have to take care of us and figure out what's wrong and treat us. So again, it's all about prepping you as much as possible before you're going out into that hospital setting. There are disaster preparedness drills because it's not really if, but when something happens and you're on shift, what do you do? What do you take? What do you need? What do you do first? Who do you call? Can you even call? So these are all day drills. A lot of times it takes place over at the Frank Irwin Center. But again, it's just preparing you. And then we have flu shot clinics as well. So in the fall, University Health Services puts on flu clinics throughout campus, and they need volunteers to give these flu shots. So they reach out to us and ask us if we have any nursing students who would be interested in giving these shots, which inevitably we do. It's a great way to really practice and hone in on one skill. So you may have started off the day maybe never giving a shot before, and by the end of it giving well over 100 shots. So it's something that our students really enjoy, and our faculty sometimes take their class and sign that class up for a day of the flu shot clinic. We do have a nursing honors program. So if you are interested in research, or there's a certain topic that you are really interested in and you want to work in depth on with a faculty member, then this may be something you want to look into. You would need to wait until the spring semester of your freshman year because you need to have a UT GPA to be able to apply. And there's various stipulations that you need to have and then maintain during this program. But it's excellent. These students will present their projects at various conferences. Let me go to the next slide so you can see. These are just some of the projects in the past that our students have taken part in. But if this seems of interest to you, I would definitely look more into it. There's more information on our website. It looks great on our resume, and it's a great way to work on your presentation skills too if there's something that it really is meaningful to you. And while UT has many, many different study abroad opportunities, there is a nursing specific study abroad, and that is in Costa Rica. So it's 6 weeks over the summer. 2 of our faculty members actually go on this trip. They split it up 3 weeks and 3 weeks, and they are the ones teaching these courses. So you do get course credit for N309 and N354. We say it's ideal for the summer after your freshman year, and that is basically because as you go through the degree program and you go semester to semester, it just gets increasingly harder, and the coursework becomes more rigorous and more is expected of you. So I would say summer after freshman year is ideal. The next summer after your sophomore year is still definitely doable. After that, it gets a little, I would say it probably gets a little hectic. There's a lot going on that junior year and senior year. So I would definitely look into this for the first half of your college career. There are many, many different nursing student organizations on campus. These are just a few of them that we do have. We also have an honor society. Being involved and getting involved is a really great way to form a community and make friends and to make it feel a little less lonely. You know, many of you may be coming from small towns or small high schools, and this is your first time away from home. So it's completely natural to be homesick and to be a little nervous, and it's hard to make friends. So really inserting yourself where you can and forming these little communities is going to be so beneficial to you in your college career, anywhere you go. Specifically here at UT Austin, we have first year interest groups. We call them FIGs. And it's basically you are placed in a group. There's probably around 12 to 15 students in each FIG, and you have the exact same course schedule for that whole freshman year. So even though you are on main campus and you're going through those core requirement courses, they're not necessarily nursing specific, there will be a group of 12 to 15 of you who are in that course who are nursing students. And while it isn't a mandatory thing to ask your advisor to be placed into one, I would say 99.9% of students are in a FIG. And many of them are friends through the full 4 years. They continue their friendship after that freshman year. But you have the same courses, and then you also meet once a week away from class. And you have a FIG mentor who is a sophomore, and they are excellent because they were just you that year prior. So they can give you so much advice from, where to eat to maybe which faculty member, you want to take for that certain course. Or, they're just there to talk because they were just in your shoes the year before. And so it's very, very beneficial. And there's also a facilitator. So one of us each has a FIG that we go to and just kind of sit in the back and listen. So we highly recommend a FIG. There is peer tutoring, not only on campus, but here at the School of Nursing as well. Tutoring is free. It is there to take advantage of. We have peer-to-peer tutoring. So some of our seniors who maybe did very, very well in some of these courses, they'll be the ones actually tutoring our nursing students. We put on different workshops. We have a career services department, which is mine and Mira's department that we work in, and we're here to help with resumes and cover letters and perform mock interviews. We reach out to our employers who we've built relationships with and hospital employers around the area, and they actually come to the nursing school and present information on their residency programs, and they love our students. They want to talk to our students, and it gives students that exposure to them where they can ask questions afterwards. They can go up and introduce themselves afterwards. And a lot of times when they go to apply for a position, these recruiters remember you from these info sessions. So career services is something we've really, really tried to bulk up over the past, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. There is scholarships, there's money to be had, so please look into those. Some have various stipulations, so you may or may not qualify, but there's definitely money out there and scholarships to be had. So do your due diligence and really look into those and apply for sure. We have a care counselor who's actually here on site. She just sits right down the hall here at the nursing school, and she is fantastic. Our nursing students really utilize her and her services, especially as they get into that junior and senior year. Because like I said, it's a lot. So you think, oh, I just have clinical for 8 hours, but you're going to be going in the night before a clinical because you have to pick your patient and you have to get their card ready. So that way, when you get there that Monday morning at 6:30 a.m., you are ready to go. And then once your 8-hour shift is up, you stay in your charting. You're charting the information on that patient from the day. So what might seem manageable, and it will be manageable, can turn into a lot more hours and a lot more work as you go. So I think as students progress in this degree program, they use her more and more. But I will say freshmen come to her as well because there's a lot going on. It might, again, be your first time away from home and you might be homesick. It may be your first time living with somebody else, a complete stranger, and you may be having some roommate issues, to obviously much larger issues, and she's there for all of it. And the two great things about her is it's completely confidential and it's completely free to you. So whatever you talk to her about, they can't tell your family, they can't tell your friends, they can't tell us down the hall. It is a confidential conversation. So, and it's free. So what I feel like there used to be a stigma, like, oh, I'm going to go talk to somebody, but it's excellent. And our nursing students go to her all the time, even if it's just for study habits. Maybe you're struggling a little bit in some courses and you're not really used to struggling with courses. So she has a lot of tricks and tips up her sleeve that she can provide to you. And then just overall, campus-wide, not even at the nursing school, everywhere you go, there is a lot of resources and support for you. So you don't feel like you're all alone on this massive campus, but to feel like, you are here and you do exist and you do, you sometimes do need help, and those resources are here to help you. So the big question is, how do you apply to the School of Nursing? So our applications open August 1st and they close December 1st. You will apply through the admissions website and you will be asked for your top two college or school preferences. You want to put nursing as your first choice college or school. Do not put it as your second. It is all one application. There's no separate application for nursing. You're going to apply on admissions, and that's how you select your nursing, is by putting it as your first preference. There are some short answer prompts. There's a few nursing specific short answer prompts. So just read through thoroughly. All the information is there, but just go through carefully, I would say. So you make sure you check all the boxes that you need to. You also submit a resume. So this is any activities or involvement you've been in, any leadership positions you've been in. If you have experience in a healthcare sector, or you've volunteered at a nursing home or a food bank, or you are a caregiver or anything, if you've been a babysitter, if you've been a lifeguard, anything of that sort, put on there. As long as you can make it applicable to nursing and the nursing profession and the skills you use in nursing, that is what you want to really highlight, are those skills, because that's what they're looking for. And then, like I said, listed as your first choice major. It is a holistic review, which means they take your GPA, they take your essays, and they take your resume all into account when they're looking at the candidates. So being strong across the board in all three of those pillars are what make for a competitive candidate, I would say. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to have this perfect 4.0, perfect everything. I would really spend time on your resume. I would really spend time answering those essay questions, because it isn't something that they merely kind of glance at and like, oh, okay, they turned this in, so that's good. They really, truly look at these essays and they look at these resumes as they are going through the applicant pool. So take your time. It does not matter if you're the very first person to submit your application or the very last person. Be thorough. Check it a million times before you submit it, and really feel good, really feel confident about your submission, because that's all you can do. That's what you have control over. So that's what you have to focus on. And then I'm going to ask, I can see the chat box has been going off, so hopefully Mira has been answering those questions, but some more resources for you. If you don't get your question answered right now, or you sign off of this and you realize you had more questions or you want more clarification, please feel free to email that ss@nursing.utexas.edu. That is not a bottomless pit. It goes to our student services email address, and one of us down the student services hall, or one of our student workers who are current nursing students, will answer those questions for you, or find those answers for you if they don't know them themselves. And then these are just two other great websites. Discover Nursing talks about, again, the different kinds of nursing you can do, what's out there, what can you do with this degree. And then there's a specific UT parents website as well. So I'm now going to jump on over to the chat and see what's been going on. Let me see. All right, so I think Mira has been answering everybody. I just got a question that says, how many applications do we receive and how many are accepted? So let me preface this by saying we get many, many applications. Our cohorts are fairly small, and the reason for that is when our students go out into the hospitals, there has to be a 10-to-1 ratio, 10 students to 1 faculty member when they're at the hospital. So our numbers are small, not because we're just trying to be super competitive about it, but we aren't allowed to have more than X amount of students per faculty member when they're out on a unit for safety reasons. And again, it's the nature of the major. So we get on average, I would say 2,300-ish applications per year. And we basically take in around 100, I would say. It's about a 4% acceptance rate. And again, it's the nature of what this is the reason it's so competitive, that 10-to-1 ratio. So once you're here, it's fantastic. The faculty know your name, you have each other's cell phone numbers. It very much is a family environment here. as cliche as that sounds. But I understand that until you are here in the nursing school, it is an overwhelming number. That is why, going back to that application slide, I say just really focus on your application. Don't worry about everybody else, or, oh my God, what if I don't have a 4.0, or what if I don't have this perfect healthcare experience to put on my resume? That doesn't matter. Just focus on what you do have and how you can make those skills translate to the nursing profession. For your resume, I think one of the questions is, why do you want to be a nurse, or what has led you to want to do nursing? Be as in-depth as you feel comfortable about that. Saying you like to help people is a fantastic reason to be a nurse, but if you can delve down a little deeper, everybody has their reasoning. Sometimes it's a personal story, other times it's not a personal story, but everybody has a reason for why they want to become a nurse. So I would say just really drill down there, because your story is unique, and that's what's going to make your application unique. Let me go back to this. What is the average ACT score and average GPA of accepted nursing students? Average ACT score, I don't know what that is, because let me back up. All the applications go through the admissions department, and they go through and they make sure that all the pieces are there that you were supposed to include with your application, that any university-wide requirements are met. And once they can confirm that, they take those applications and they send those to the nursing school. And the nursing committee then goes through those applications and reads all the essays and everything else as they go down. So the ACT, once it gets to the nursing school, is not a part of the equation. The average GPA, we say a 3.5 is excellent to be considered competitive, but that does not mean that if you don't have a 3.5 that you won't get in. We just say that's a competitive GPA to have. Using cadavers, students, at least on site, do not learn using cadavers, but we do have those mannequins and those dummies that are very high functioning. That's what our students use as they go through their simulation experiences upstairs. Let's see, if a student applies under automatic admission, what is the likelihood they will get into the nursing school? That is a good question. So we have, yes, so a lot of time it's the top 6%, I think it is automatically admitted into UT. It does not mean that you will automatically be admitted into the nursing school, even if it's your first choice. It means you're going to be a really competitive candidate to come to the nursing school. But when you step back and think about 6% is still a lot of people. It is a fantastic accomplishment, and you should feel very, very proud of yourself. But you are also now competing against everybody else in that 6%, as well as people who are outside of that 6%, but may have an excellent resume and an excellent essays as well. So you still need to make yourself stand out. I wouldn't rely on the fact that you had automatic admission. You still are needing to make yourself stand out and to really say why you want to be a nurse and why it means so much to you. Let's see. Average cost for the BSN, that is something you'd want to talk with, and Mira just put a website down for tuition rates. So you're going to want to go to that website that she just listed in the chat, because we do not handle the tuition here, thankfully. Let's see, if a student doesn't get accepted as an incoming freshman, can you reapply sophomore year? Yes. So we have what's called internal transfer, and it is, you can apply via internal transfer twice. So you need to have 24 credits at the university. So you basically have to be here 1 full year before you can apply to internally transfer into the nursing school. You have to have 3 prerequisites. It is chemistry, biology, and statistics. There is more information on that on our nursing website. Actually, it'll say internal transfer on our nursing website. There's an application, those 3 class requirements, and again, you'll submit your resume and an essay. So you can do this twice. After that second time, Unfortunately, if you weren't to get in, we could talk about maybe the alternate entry master's program for you. We do have students who are basically in their junior year at UT, and they want to get into nursing, but at the same time, they're so close to completing their undergrad degree, whereas they're like, oh, if I get into nursing, I don't know what semester I'll be coming in at, because degree programs are different. So at that point in time, they may want to go ahead and finish their current major and come back for that alternate entry and get their master's of nursing. So that's an option to look into as well. Let me see, what are the qualifications for automatic admission? I believe, so there's no automatic admission into the School of Nursing, but into the university itself, I believe it's top 6%. I think is what it was. Mira, thank you, just added another website down there through the admissions department. So that's where you can get more information on that. Let me see. Will this session be recorded? Yes, we did record this session, and I'm not quite sure where we're going to post it yet. But if you need the slides, or if you wanted a specific slide, if you wanted to email that ss@nursing email, we can certainly provide you with that as well. What advice would you give to a current high school sophomore hoping to attend the nursing school? That's a great question, because you've got some time. I would say right now, volunteer work and really getting out there and putting in the effort to show that you're interested in this healthcare field. You know, sometimes you can volunteer at a hospital, and that might mean you start off volunteering at like the info desk, which is fine, but hopefully you can work your way up a little bit in that volunteer position. Or I like the idea of working in a nursing home. I think it's a fantastic way of getting exposure. There are various, Mira, if you can hear me, can you post that website? I've asked you before about the volunteering, and you've given me a really good website. So if you can post that at some point, that would be great. You know, lifeguarding, being a caregiver, you know, sometimes it may not necessarily be medical, but it may just be an elderly person who needs some help around the house, or you know, something along those lines. That's also an excellent opportunity that you can get started on now. Again, it's anything that the skills you're using you can translate into the nursing profession. So I would really focus and, you know, kind of hone in on that. Thank you, Mira just posted that, thevolunteermatch.org. That's the website. Thank you very much. Let's see. Can you clarify where on the application you submit the resume? So this is all done online. So once you apply, you create something called a My Status page, and it's very step by step. So you will know where to submit and upload your resume, but it's kind of like your like electronic folder, I would say, and it's called a My Status. And that's where you want to keep an eye on kind of what your application is doing, where is it at in the process, and then certainly once you are accepted or not, you're going to find it through your My Status page. Let's see. For admitted freshmen, what is the process for CPR certification if not completed before graduating high school? That's okay. You don't have to have completed CPR for entry into the program. You won't need to do that until like your sophomore second semester. So before you go into clinicals, you're going to have to be CPR certified through the American Heart Association and have your first aid. But until that point in time, it's not a requirement. Let's see. The School of Nursing. Oh, there we go. Mira just answered that as well. Let's see. I only have one period for a science course. Is AP Bio or Anatomy or Physiology more important to take in high school in preparation for nursing school? I don't want to say necessarily which one is more important in prep for nursing school, because they're all going to be valuable. I would say whatever one you're most confident in and you think you can do the best in, because that's going to boost your GPA, and the GPA is going to be looked at. So if you are, great in biology and you're like, physiology, I'm okay. Maybe you go with the biology because maybe you're going to get a better grade in that one, and therefore your GPA is going to go up. So, but bio, anatomy, and physiology are all going to be, they're all going to come into play in the nursing program. So I don't think you can go wrong there. Is it easier to get in as a freshman or as a transfer? That's a tough one because it all depends on timing and space. So as a freshman, I know those numbers of 4% seem very overwhelming, but it doesn't mean it's any easier as a transfer student either. Some semesters for our internal transfer students, we may have a spot for 3, and yet we've gotten 50 applications. Other semesters, we've been able to take 25 students and we had 50 applications. So then your odds would have been good that semester, but unfortunately you have no control over knowing how many spots are going to be open, which semester. So I would say they're both very competitive, but they are both very doable. So try as a freshman, and if you get in, great. And if not, just know that you're going to have 2 more times to apply for transfer and really work on your application, and maybe where you think maybe you were lacking, and then get it all ready and apply for internal transfer. Side note to the internal transfer, we do take them in fall and spring. So there's the both semesters we take transfer students. Let's see, with the COVID-19 quarantine, how would you recommend still getting volunteer experience? Yep, I have applied for volunteering opportunities, but they are on hold due to coronavirus. We understand. We know this is unprecedented, and while it is a part of our application process, it's understandable that there's not going to be a whole bunch of volunteer experience right now. However, that being said, applications don't open until August 1st. So, thinking positively about this, perhaps there will still be a decent amount of time to be able to volunteer. But if that's, not the case, I would just say, do what you can, use what you have. Maybe if you don't have a lot of volunteering, but you have a lot of leadership roles that you've had, use your resume to show those leadership skills. And you stepping up to the plate and being in charge or leading a group of people. Maybe bulk up that part of it if you don't have a lot of volunteering. So I would just say throw everything on there. Throw absolutely everything on there. But long story short, that is taken into consideration for this next group of applications, because obviously this is absolutely nothing that anyone had any control over. Let's see, what areas of rotations do the nursing students experience? And you just listed a lot of them. The operating room, the emergency department, ICU, labor and delivery, mother-baby, postpartum, NICU. You're testing, I'm not a nurse, so this is going off the top of my head. You get exposure to many different units. Sometimes it's more observational, so it won't necessarily be hands-on, but you rotate through many different units. So I want to say all of them, but I'm sure it's not all of them in the grand scheme of things, but a lot of exposure. Let's see, after applying, when are you notified about admission? You will find out basically in February. There is not a specific date. It just depends on how many applications there are and how quickly yet thoroughly our admissions committee gets through those applications. But you can plan on knowing the answer sometime in February. Can you talk more about the alternate entry master's program and how competitive that is to gain entry? Thank you. Mira just also posted the website for that so you can get more information. But yeah, so basically this program, it's 3 years, and the very first year is extremely accelerated. Only students who have an undergraduate degree in something other than nursing can be in this alternate entry program, which is great. You have people who are in their second, third, fourth careers. You have brand new students right out of college who had decided later on they wanted to become a nurse, and so now they're back. You have people all over the board who are in this program. So it's 1 year, super accelerated. It is a lot because it's basically 2 years put into one. You start in the summertime, you start in June, and by September, you are in the hospitals working on patients. So it is an intense summer. A lot is getting thrown at you so that you can start in those hospitals in the fall. After that first year, you sit for the NCLEX. So you will be an RN if you pass the NCLEX after that first year, and you can start working as a nurse after year one. And then you continue on in the program for another 2 years in whatever track it is that you had been accepted into. And there's 3 tracks. There's leadership in diverse settings, there is the psych mental health nurse practitioner, and there is the clinical nurse specialist track. So I would go onto that website and look a little more into it. There are, various prerequisites and whatnot. It is a very competitive program, absolutely. But I will say there are, I think there are probably less applicants than if you were applying as a freshman into the BSN program. And then each track can kind of take a various amount of students. So just, I would look into it. I would look a little bit more in depth. And we do have AE MSN information sessions as well that are scheduled throughout the year. All right, let me scroll up for 1 second. Is AP statistics or AP calculus? Thank you, Mira just added. She answered that one for me. Any advice on what our second choice should be on the application? I mean, on the one hand, we have a very science-based degree plan. So some students will do like a biology or a health sciences or something along those lines because some of the courses are the equivalent or same as on our degree plan. So if they are accepted as an internal transfer, they can go ahead and kind of check those courses off of our degree plan. Something you also want to take into consideration though is whatever school or college you get into, you're going to be there for a while. And so you need to really enjoy what it is that you're studying and be interested in what it is that you're studying. So if you don't get into nursing and you got into biology, and you're like, oh gosh, but like I don't really like biology, or I'm not that great at biology, you don't want to be struggling in whatever it is in the hopes that you're going to get into the nursing school later. So you need to take that into account because you want to enjoy your time, you want to enjoy your classes, you want to be successful, and we want you to be successful. So while there are the bios and the health sciences and psychologies and all of that you can put as your second preference, I would still really take to heart what it is that you're going to be happy doing. Is there a sample? Yes, there is a degree plan, and Mira just posted that website right there. That's the whole degree plan from freshman year to senior year. And there's also, it shows like in the summer what one can take. Summer school is not mandatory. It's just a lot of our students like to take maybe like a pharmacology or something during summer just so it takes it off their plate for that next semester. But yeah, check out that degree program so you can kind of see what it is. Let me see. Do freshmen have difficulty with access into the classes they need each semester? No. So our advisors do a very, very good job of if it's a nursing specific course, they know our nursing students need it, they are able to work their magic and save X amount of seats for our nursing students. So I would not worry about the access into the classes. For your first year, maybe year and a half, but really that first year, if you don't get those classes perfectly in that order that you see them on the degree program, that's okay. Those courses can be taken in a different semester. So don't worry about that. But then the nursing specific classes, your advisors will take care of you. And that's something, if you can't get into a course, you're having a hard time, or you're worried about that, you can email them because you'll have one advisor that is assigned to you, and you'll be able to email her and she'll be able to help you. Let's see. Is becoming a nurse practitioner an option for the master program? In our traditional Master of Science in Nursing program, yes. There's the pediatric nurse practitioner, the family nurse practitioner, and the psych mental health nurse practitioner. Those are our 3 NP tracks. For the alternate entry masters, that only has that psych mental health nurse practitioner route. And that is because for the FNP and the PNP, there is some experience required before you are able to go into that track. So our alternate entry students don't have nursing experience. So they can't just come in and be on the FNP or PNP track. So that's the difference there. If you do not get accepted into nursing, do you know the likelihood of getting accepted into your second choice school? I think it probably depends on what that second choice school is. There are other schools and colleges on campus that have a lot more capacity, and so they can take a lot more students. Again, if you're a great student and you have a competitive GPA and essay and resume and all of those things, I don't see why not. But again, I'm sure there are cases where students don't. But I think your odds are probably pretty good. That's what I'll say. Let's see here. If we wanted to take, oh, okay. Thank you, Mira, for answering that. I appreciate it. These are really, really good questions. What else? What else? Let's see. What is the job hiring outlook for the graduates of UT Nursing? Do you most likely get your first job with the capstone experience? So the job hiring outlook is very, very good. To answer the capstone part of that question, a lot of job opportunities and offers do come from that capstone experience, which is excellent, but not all of them do. It's definitely not something that you can just take as, oh, okay, I got my capstone here on this unit, I'm going to get a job there. And then some students may not want to have a position there because maybe they didn't get their, first choice of this or their second choice of that. But it is an excellent opportunity to do so. As far as job hiring outlook, Mira and I work with our students and we send them surveys at the end of each semester before they graduate to see who has jobs and where, and if they haven't already told us. They usually love telling us when they get a position. But I'm trying to think of our numbers. I know last semester, because we haven't done it yet for spring. So in fall, I think it was around 80% of our seniors had jobs before graduation, and the summer before, or in the spring before that, 85% had jobs before graduation. So we're always hoping to go up. Someday it'll be 100, hopefully. But we have had some really good numbers coming out the last few semesters. And it's because students are taking advantage of those resources and they're coming to us with their resumes and they're starting on that early and they're taking it seriously. Resumes are not fun. I'll be the first to say that. They're tricky and you're constantly working on them, but they are completely necessary by the time you hit the job hiring time. So get in here early. I mean, maybe you don't need to as a freshman, but if you wanted to, that's great. We're here. We're definitely here. Let's see here. Will this presentation recording be sent to us? We are going to probably end up posting this somewhere on our website. It's actually the first one that we have recorded, so hopefully you all deem it good enough to be on our website. So it will be somewhere, but if you wanted some of the slides or a slide in particular, go ahead and email that SS@Nursing email address and we can absolutely get that sent off to you. Let's see, is there a site where I can find exactly what classes I will have credit for? Thank you. Mira just posted those 2 websites. Let's see. Oh, great. Oh, thank you so much for joining. I'm so sorry you couldn't come to campus to be able to hear this, but it's been great talking to everybody. I'm trying to see we have quite a few people on this video session. So I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to be here and to listen and to ask questions. I just, good luck to all of you. I hope all of you apply and that all of you get accepted. If you have any other questions or need any more clarification on anything, please feel free to email or call. Right now, email, though, is probably the better way to get a hold of us because we are mostly remote at this point. But anyways, good luck. I'm going to go ahead and end this. I didn't really get to see any of you, but it was really nice talking with you. So enjoy the rest of your day.